corn kernel because I am making a specific individual kernel, right? So I'm looking at this, and it's kind of got like a tooth shape to it, right? Okay, so you can look up here, and I'm going to show you different sketching tools that you can play with or use to make this shape. So the most basic is you have lines, all right? Now, you can click on the line tool, and you can click and draw, and you got all these lines going, all right? You can draw how many you want. You can make whatever profile you want. Gonna be honest, probably not gonna be particularly helpful with what you're doing, but that is an option. Okay, you have the line. Then, oh, Lord have mercy. All right. Another possibility is you can do curves. So let's say you want to do curves. Well, we have arcs here. Okay, these are fractions of circles. So I could do an arc. So like, for example, I could do that, okay? And I got arc. I can do another arc, all right? So if I wanted fractions of perfect circles, that would be a way to do that. If you look at your stuff, are those actually parts of perfect circles? So there is another option. You can do fractions of ellipses. That's going to be more complicated. The third and final option, which is a little more freeform, is spline tool. You click on spline tool, okay? You can click and you can see very quickly what's going on here. You're basically plotting control points. People love the spline tool because it makes you can make really cool looking things. Little side note, when you're done with your spline, the last click, you double click and then it ends it, okay? You can make a closed loop or you can make a line. You can do whatever you want, but you can then move these, okay, and kind of control the curvature and general shape of it. And if you mess up and you want to add more of these are called control points, you know, you can click down here and you can add control points or delete them, okay? So you do you. Looking at the corn, I'm going to be real with you. First off, not all corn kernels look identical, right? You're going to make yours probably all look the same, or you'll make one and then you might just scale it to represent the rows closer to the stalk or the top, you know. So, you know, pick a good kernel or two that's got a real nice shape to it, a very, I don't know what word to use, typical or cliche shape to it, and stick with that, okay? I'm not a corn expert, but you know, you can do that. So it's got some curviness to it. You can play with a combination of the line tool and the spline tool. So for example, I can draw a line like that, and I can draw a line like that. And then I could do the spline tool and I could have some, you know, beautiful crown to it like that, for example. And the bottom, I don't really know. The bottom looks a little weird. Okay. And so I could shape that up and I have a corn-ish looking shape. For you, if you're wheat, I mean, I don't really, I don't. Oh, that would be helpful. So, you know, for you,
it's almost like an eye shape.
Yeah. I think I know how I would ballpark this. Okay. I have an idea for you on this. It's not going to be perfect, but it will be simple. Before you get too invested in making your sketches, I want to warn you about two things. Well, actually, I want to warn you about one thing, and then I want to show you a second thing that you can use to help this. So when I draw a line, if you look very carefully, let's say I'm drawing this line, okay? So I click here, and do you notice how there is, I can't actually use my mouse because if I move my mouse, it won't be there. But right here, do you see how there's this vertical line? Right there. So there is this thing called constraints. Constraints are very powerful. You can constrain a line to be horizontal or vertical. You can constrain lines to be parallel, perpendicular. you can constrain them to be tangents. Like I can make this curve tangent into this line. I'll do that in a moment. The problem you need to be aware of is when you're actively drawing things, the program, if you are very close to drawing a vertical line, it's assuming that you actually want the line to be vertical. And it will automatically apply a vertical constraint. If you do not want that, you're either going to have to draw it and then delete the constraint, or you're going to deliberately draw an angle so that it's not locked to being vertical. Okay? Another example. Let's say that you have this straight line, right? You want your spline, your curve, to start on that line. That's actually a constraint. It's constraining the endpoint of the line and the endpoint of the spline to be on top of each other. So like if you do not want something to be constrained, every time you are clicking to place it, look and see if you have like orange or yellow dashed lines or a symbol indicating some constraints about to be applied. If you don't think you want that constraint, then make sure you click and place it somewhere else where there's not an automatic constraint being applied. Okay? On the flip side, constraints are really, really powerful. I'll give you an example of how you might do this. So if you just want to watch what I do here, okay, if I'm making my corn kernel symmetrical, then I would want this line to be the same length and at the same angle as this line, right? So in order to do that, here are my constraints. I can click on the drop down and there's a million of them. One of them is equal. And so I can make this line equal to this line. I could also, this may be counterintuitive, but if I select the horizontal constraint and I click on these two dots, it'll align those two dots to be lined up horizontally. And then I can do the same with these two dots. So now those two lines are not only the same length, but there's a little bit of geometry, but they're at the same angle as well. They have to be because their endpoints are forced on the same horizontal lines. And I can prove this if I try and like grab this, like you can see the line is not changing relative to the other line at all. Something else that's really cool. If you go do a tangent constraint, I can make this line go smoothly into this spline. Now, you may have noticed it did a funny and it like made it go the other angle. So, why is that? Well, because there's two solutions. The line can either go like this or it can go like this and still satisfy all of the constraints that I applied. So you can always undo a constraint and like finagle this to be a little bit more like that so that when I do this tangent constraint, it doesn't do something stupidly weird. And I can go over here and I can do the same thing. Can apply a tangent constraint. And now it's going smoothly into that straight line. So I don't have a cusp or a vertex. It's a smooth transition. I can do the same thing down here. Same thing down here. Okay, so now I have a shape. And you may have noticed that I put a vertex in the center for each of these, a control point. And actually when I did this, so I did it out of habit, I actually already had it on this axis. It's actually already constrained to be on the vertical axis. So it's centered. So now it's just about, kind of getting the exact shape I want. One more thing that you can do is you can use lines to construct geometric arguments. So for example, I want this to be the center of my shape. Well, there's no line connecting the center, the origin, to some part of my shape. So it's not like I can set two things to be equal to each other. Well, what if I just drew a line? What if I just drew a line to here? And then I just draw another line to here. And I set them equal. Let's say I do that. Now it's symmetric. And I could do the same thing for these control points. So I have a control point here and here. And I'm going to connect them to the origin and then I'm going to make them equal to each other. And so now those two control points, are the same distance from the origin. I'll even use another horizontal constraint to line these up. So now this top part is going to be guaranteed symmetrical. And all I have done is I've used geometric arguments and constraints. I haven't actually dimensioned anything. I've just used geometry. So if these 2 points are forced to be on the same horizontal line, and then they're both the same distance from the origin, they have to be mirror images of each other. There's no way they're not mirrors of each other. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing down here. So when you're making your wheat thing, you may or may not do this, but now you know. So I'm going to make those 2 control points horizontal, and then I'm going to make them the same length. So now those are mirror images of each other. You can see when I click and drag. Now I don't really want these lines to be part of my kernel. Broadly speaking, if you use lines to help you make what you actually care about, I encourage you to make them construction lines. And I'll show you why. Don't actually exit out of your thing, but I'll show you why. When I go to extrude this, I don't want to click on every single one of these stupid shapes. That's like dumb, right? I don't want to do that, okay? But it doesn't know what lines I care about and which ones I don't. So if I go back into my sketch, I can make this line, and this line, and this line, and this line, and this line. The lines that I just used to help it make it symmetrical, right here is the construction button. And if you click on that, you'll notice they are now all dashed. They are now construction lines. In fact, if you were to use some of the more advanced features like the polygon tool, you'll notice that it has a circle, an inscribed circle. And that is a dashed line. It's inherently a construction feature. And what's nice is if I were to go extrude this, now it recognizes I don't care about those dashed lines and I don't have to click on those individual shapes. Okay? Hopefully, that is not what I want to do. Hopefully, you are in a decent enough shape that you can make a kernel shaped thing. Think you can do that? Okay, so make a kernel shaped thing. I mean, I feel like I made this about as simple as you can, but still within the realm of possibility of representing a kernel. But I mean, it's your thing. If you want to, if you're like, no, what you made is actual garbage, or you want to go more detail or whatever, you're welcome to. And then you can kind of just move these around until it looks good. You are going to have to dimension at some point. But if you make it look good, you can then just apply dimensions to it. I would suggest, though, that you start dimensioning it right now. Okay. But get it looking good first and plot some dimensions. For the weak people, you're going to probably want to do something a little different. Okay. I'm not saying this is the best way to do it, but it's a way, and it's pretty simple in the grand scheme of things. So I'm going to show you.
1 second, because I tried to do something.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
By the way, you can have multiple sketches and hide them under the new file. So you can just suppress them or hide them. If you're like, I'm trying 3 different ideas. One of them is probably trash. I don't know about the other 2. You can just switch which one's visible and not switch ones you care about. So what I'm going to do is what's called revolve. So why don't you just look up here and see what I do real quick. I'm going to make a profile. Okay. So I'm just going to make something that looks cool. So I made this thing, right? And then I'm going to draw a line here. Looks kind of cool.
Oh, are you going to do the horizontal thing?
I don't know what you made a horizontal thing, but maybe. So I can click on this revolve tool, and I can revolve this about an axis, and now I have a shape like that. Make sense? I anticipate that might be the easiest way to make this.
Yeah.
Now, the downside is it's going to have to be radially symmetric, which, are these radially symmetric? I don't know. Probably not, but they're close.
Yeah.
So that might be the technique that you adopt. But I bet you're still going to use a spline tool to make that nice contour shape. Sound good? Maybe. One thing I want to point out when you are doing this, okay? When you dimension from here to out here, right? Okay. You know, this is probably like, this is like a radius. And when you actually measure it, you're going to actually measure a diameter. You know what I'm saying? So kind of be wary of that. We good?
Yep.
Okay. Caleb, you're making leaves, right?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out what was going to be better to do, either the root or the leaf.
What is it that you're making? What is it called?
Cassava.
Cassava. That's with a V.
Yeah, CASSAVA. SS.
CASSAVA.
Yep.
Why do I feel like that had a K in it? It's okay. I'm illiterate, so you know.
It sounds like it does. I could have pronounced it.
It sounds exotic. It sounds like it should have a. So let's just say you're making a leaf, right?
Yep.
Leaf soup that looks kind of cringe. Not even gonna lie.
You need to cassava plant to get the leaf easier.
So what you can do, okay? Why am I going to LinkedIn? Bro, dude, I have to go to LinkedIn to see this picture. Okay, so
Yeah.
does that look like what you're making?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna probably want to make one individual leaf like this.
That's my opinion.
Okay, and then what I'll just show you really quick. Let's say I make a leaf. Not gonna say that my leaf is baller, or I'm just gonna make some amazing leaf thing. So let's say I make the edge of the leaf,
Yes.
okay, and then I'm going to draw a vertical line. Sound good? Let me make this leaf a little thinner. Oh, that is a beautiful leaf if I ever saw one. Pitch perfect. Okay, so let's say that's my leaf. That's half of it.
Yeah.
There is a mirror feature that you can use. And ladies, you may find the mirror feature to be useful too. I don't like it when I have a spline or curve going across the halfway point. I'd rather just draw the whole thing. But if you can use the mirror thing. And so I can click on mirror and I select the mirror line and then I select the thing I want to mirror and it doubles it.
Okay.
And then I only have to dimension and shape up one side. So that's an option, the mirror. Okay. That's a beautiful option. So now that I've mirrored it, okay, so I have this. Maybe in my sketch, I want to do a pattern. So right here is called a linear pattern. You don't really want linear, but there's the drop down arrow. And there's a circular pattern option. So I can click on circular pattern. Okay.
Yep.
So when I do that, I believe you have to choose, I'm going to make an assumption here. Let me just draw a circle. Circular pattern. I'm going to click on the circle. I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell my students. I find that patterns in sketches is really not the way it's drawn. So what I would do is I would actually make a leaf that you like. So let's say you like this leaf.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's pretty. Okay.
Hold on.
Let me give it a little bit of thickness to it. Okay, that's a little too thick. Let's go with 5. So I got a leaf. And I want to have like a bunch of these, right? So what I could do is I'll just make a circle here. Okay. So you can do your mirrors or your circular patterns as features. So I could click on circular pattern. I want to pattern this leaf and I'm going to pattern it around this circle.
Okay.
Now, yours is not going to go in a complete circle. But how many degrees are in a circle?
360.
You could make that a number less than that. And now you could make it, I don't know how many were there, 5 leaves, 6, I don't know.
Let's see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 7? Math is hard.
7, yeah.
Good Lord. Okay, so it's probably not 180 degrees. It's probably like, I don't know.
I'd say about 190.
Let's say 330. No, I lied. 290.
Are you trying to make it like only half?
240.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there,
That's
right?
To me, yeah, that's
Like right,
Yeah.
and then they intersect.
Yep.
And you're in good shape. And you could actually make like a flat leaf as one thing, and then you could make the veins.
Yeah, and put it on.
You could then round the veins, and then you could circular pattern all of those at the same time. So what I would do is I would make one leaf perfect, and then you can pattern it. Now, what's part of the complication is, unfortunately, these are not identical.
No, they're not.
It looks like some of them are shorter than others.
Yeah, and some are larger and thicker. And others
So the pattern may or may not work out, but it's an idea.
Yeah. After I pattern, can I edit leaves themselves?
If you go and you edit this,
It will edit all of them at once, right?
yes.
Okay.
But can you make each of them different than the others? I don't know that there's a way to just the pattern.
Okay.
I think you could duplicate something and then change it, but it might almost just be easier to just like make the sketch. I think in your case, at a minimum, what you maybe could do is you could make the middle one and then 3 on the one side and then mirror those 3 if they were perfect. At the minimum, you could always do that. So you never should have to make 7 unique ones.
Yeah, it's maybe like 3 or
But
4.
you might have to make 3 or 4 unique ones.
That's fine, yeah.
But, you know, you could share a sketch and like rotate it and then scale it down or whatever.
Okay.
So that's an option. Some other things that you could do. How's the corn kerneling going? Yeah. Do you think that this approach is going to work for you?
I think so. I just gotta figure out to make it all look like even.
We can make it like rounded. So if you get, I'll just show you this so you know, you can just use a fillet feature and like round the edges. You know, okay, that's probably not big enough, but I could go to like 7. Right, like you can round the edges with a fillet. Now, I don't know that that looks exactly what you want, but like you can do that, right? That is a thing that we could do. So, you know, when you're making the veins for your leaf, like you might draw. Okay, I'm just going to do something really quick here.
All right.
Maybe this will not actually be good, but who knows? Oh. So what you can do, Caleb, you could draw like a line. There's a line right there I drew.
Yeah.
So it's in that plane, right? And then I could draw in this plane like a circle. So just to be very clear, that circle is in this plane. It's almost flat, right? And I drew it like at the end of this line right here. And there is a feature called sweep, and you can take that circle and then have it sweep up that line.
Girl.
Okay.
Her focus space.
I don't know. It's not going to probably work on this. So.
I found a picture that will do well with this. Like, no, it's got 3 views on that.
I can't
It's
even.
got one node. So it's
Doing
right.
it's 7, but the leaf matches really well for the bottom, the middle, the top, and all. I can pretty easily get this done with the mirror, so
Okay.
I shouldn't have a big problem with making more.
Probably could also, you could do stalks like this or veins or whatever. You could just like draw like whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, let's say I drew like a Y shape, right? And then I could like extrude it, right? And then you could like round it with those fillets,
Okay.
just to kind of get it rounded. Make sense?
Yeah.
You know, do some math. There's like whatever you can do. You can do that.
Like a wee.
That'd probably be the easiest way. You lay out, you draw out the pattern,
Mhm.
you just extrude it to give the right height, and then you just round all the edges of it.
Yeah.
That'd probably be the way to start.
So
Do a revolve thing.
no, I couldn't remember how I did that, but I did like the thing that you did on the corn kernel, like the even it out.
Okay.
So
Did
this
the
is
revolve-
what I have.
Guys, I'm making a corn.
Okay, so you can revolve that. So I would draw just half of it, but you can go with that too.
Okay.
To revolve it, it's just the revolve feature. It's right next to extrude.
Yeah.
Face and sketches, region to revolve. You click what you want. Revolve axis. I click there, and now it's blue. And I go click on revolve axis.
Okay, so when you made it, did you connect like axis to axis point?
You have to have an enclosed shape.
Okay, so I think that was my problem.
You have to have an
So that-
enclosed shape. If you don't have an enclosed shape, you can't do an extrude or revolve. Like, there has to be an enclosed shape. That help?
Yeah.
Okay. When you think you have a shape that looks good, don't worry about dimensions right now. If you have a shape that you think looks good, okay, it looks proportionate, all right? I can show you probably the best way to dimension this. That'll save you a lot of time in the future, especially if you need to scale things. Like you could make a petal or individual leaf,
Yeah.
and then you can replicate it and scale each individual one.
Okay.
And I will show you how to do that. And it'll be the same thing for you if your corn kernel, if you want to make different sizes that are the same shape but different sizes. We can make it so that it's, I don't want to say trivial, but
Easier.
you don't have to remake it. You just make like variations. All you have to do is change one number and you're in good shape.
Yeah.
I need to see a guy.
Well, we have 3 minutes.
No. Should we go by names? Sorry.
So
Let's just go to
Which end would this be?
28,
29.
29. Okay, yeah. You don't have a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
But
That seems pretty accurate.
hopefully you have enough to start and do
But
something.
Yeah, I got the picture I need for when my
You're leading the charge.
so I'll start next time. I have pinned down everything so I have all.
Who cares?
Lexi's just gonna be tilted the moment she walks in my room. She's gonna see me. She's like, oh my god, I feel comfortable. She's just gonna put her in a bad mood. You know what I'm saying?
Is that a wolf? I'm making them these things.
The top looks really
Most
flat.
of it looks like
I've ever seen it.
I'm not saying it's wrong.
What?
Know what you want.
Looks like a magic kernel.
I'm just it. Thank you. Hurts.
I love that I spent my whole time trying to format colors.
Let me see.
Well, kernels all look different.
Mine's not
Like some of
existent. I
them
know
have
it's
like
a left.
some of them it's really round. Some of them are bulgy and some of them are like this.
On the first three.
You know what I mean? Like there's no perfect kernel. So ultimately it comes down to what do you want to go with? That's a huge choice. But I did straight edges here. You could actually spline the whole thing. The whole thing could be one spline. And that would allow you to get a little bit of roundness to the edges, which would probably look more realistic. Like you can see there's no straight lines here. So you do you. You want to do it. But like, there's nothing wrong with this in terms of the general shape, but I don't know how symmetrical it is.
Everyone's got a degree.
Yeah, you can change that dimension to get thicker if you want.
Kind of make it more.
Yes. What I would say
My dad
is
said thank you very
we'll
much.
dimension
for
the
the
sketch
thank you card.
first,
He'll have his project
and then when you
manager
extrude
send
it,
you a card
when you
for
put it
the
in
thank
intelligent
you.
extrusion depth, it'll look realistic because the original shape was the right size.
Project manager.
I'll help you with that. You're gonna want to use a variable so that you can vary how big it is and scale the entire thing. Just trust me. You need anything from me?
I was trying to make these the whole time.
Were you?
Yeah, it's not very good.
I liked your first attempt better than your second.
I like my second.
Yeah.
I know, I need to make that. I
I feel
haven't
like
figured that.
orange is a
I
different.
might, so,
acknowledge
the next time they come in, I might work on corn peas.
Did you just call me
And work
crabby?
on a thing like that, and kind of how I would do it, and make one that looks somewhat as good. I'll trim mine up a bit.
That's your brother.
I kind of want to give everybody enough so they can like start on their own and get somewhere.
No, thank you.
That's okay. I stole one from my dad like that. It's like 20 years old.
And then, what color filaments are we gonna want?
I don't know.
I don't care what.
Whatever happens
This
in my
isn't the one I
anxiety
wanted,
state,
but
stays
the
my
name is
anxiety.
Have a good one.
Hey, take care, my dude.
Bye, Caleb.
No, like
Corn, you want to be
now
yellow?
the way you explain that, when you explain how to.
You want me to explain how to?
Nope, that's not mine.
Can help.
I've done enough.
Let's figure out class this like you check.
Yeah, but we have stuff to do in my phone.
Well, that is the least of my worries right now. The best of my worries is not doing that.
Jacqueline, you can come in here next hour. I'll break up.
Do you actually know it?
No, I have 2 degrees in physics. I definitely don't.
But it's
I mean,
like
I don't
it's
necessarily remember the name of every single theorem in geometry, but like I definitely know.
that's what I'm doing. It's
Making a 115-page.
But that's between you have Kathleen next hour. That's between you and her. But
I'll
like,
see what we're
Already done
actually
that.
doing. Can I leave this stuff?
Oh, too hard.
the stuff, the stuff in here.
Like
Don't put it-
I seen you the other day.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
She in a pissy attitude.
Yeah, she's in a pissing mood. I wouldn't speak to her. She might actually.
Alright, see ya.
Dude, can you take this wheat back to her room?
Well, actually, I can take it back to her class. It's okay.
You can leave whatever you want here, but that will probably get destroyed.
Yeah.
You can also clean their shelves.
I'll take it back to her.
We're good.
Oh,
Right.
let's go.
You can take that back. I'm gonna put these back in there.
Peace out, losers.
What now?
You're fat.
Okay. I'm
It
sure
wasn't
nobody
bad. It was just I just can't use
You got strong. Shove up
Josh
your
was
ass.
screaming in my
Okay.
ear. Blake did mine in my ear. And I had the concussion.
I'm so sorry, girl.
Once again.
Wait, I
want
to.
Oh my god, there's no way.
Don't touch those.
But you actually remembered me?
What did I?
But you already eat it.
Can so we can play with the balls later.
I like balls. I like them in my
If
mouth.
I'm tardy, I'm gonna go get a
You like
drink
the
real
other ball?
quick.
So then
Hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
If
I'm late, you know.
Oh,
Patrick, Patrick, pop in here.
Don't get it, Trey.
It's touching me inappropriately.
I don't think he is.
It's in.
Yeah, stop typing, bro.
Oh.
I did this here. You do that cross.
Okay.
I don't know.
You brought
I'm not
it,
putting my hands anywhere near there, but
I want to catch a fish. Look, guys, out with my
What, they can get? Fucking hate you.
Yeah, wheat seed.
Shut up!
Pinky just fucking popped. Yeah.
Dude, I'm like frozen in these fuckers.
Have you tried like slide? You know the hallway got to the buses. I try like sliding down there with your sandals. It's like fucking great fun. I'm trying to what? Floors are slick as fuck. Floors, not floors.
Honey, go ahead.
Why are you looking up honeybees? He gonna be big. We're gonna find it.
No.
I was taking 20 for everything.
especially
Since that Facebook day.
Dude, what the fuck is Dornyism?
I don't know. That's how we can play with the balls now, so we're gonna play with the balls today. What balls? The balls.
Oh, Carson's here, we can't play with balls now.
No. That's how we can play with the balls.
Yeah, I'd be fast if you want.
That's fine.
No, you can just play the game.
Regular ball.
Warm it up. You know the stream's on, right?
Uh-oh! Uh-oh!
Hey, what's up, gamers?
Marvin,
Turtle
got him,
Bros.
got
him.
Make sure you like,
Got him.
subscribe.
Chat, flip that.
Oh, I said I didn't like